Howdy my totally tubular gamers, and we're back, but with a review this time. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at Dragon Quest Treasures. Now, Dragon Quest Treasures was put out on the Switch in December of 2022, and it was developed and published by Square Enix. I want to give a major shout out to Square Enix for hooking me up with a review code for this game. I love Dragon Quest, and so I felt like I'd be a pretty good candidate to review the game. And after finishing the game, I want to tell you about my time with it. Now, Dragon Quest Treasures, it takes place before Dragon Quest XI. It's in that same universe, and it stars Eric and Mia, two characters who were in Dragon Quest XI. And Eric was one of the main characters, actually, but here he really is like the central protagonist along with his sister Mia. Anyway, they are young children. Like, we are talking really young children based on their size, and they live aboard some Viking pirate ship. I don't know. And you know, these two kids, they got some imagination. They really want to find some treasure. And on the pirate ship, they find these two fairy-like creatures. They're both little animals, but these two fairy-like creatures, and they whisk them away to another world, basically. And here, they're tasked with finding treasure. They want to be the greatest treasure finders, hunters, whatever it is, of all time. They can actually speak to the monsters in this world as well. The story's pretty basic. Outside of really what I just gave, there's not much story in this game. Throughout the entire game, there's like very limited story or progression. And even by the end of it, there just isn't a ton of story here. Yeah, it is pretty cute, and it's a good synopsis, and it really gets the ball rolling, and that's all it really needed to do. It's clear this isn't going to be one of those story-heavy games like Dragon Quest XI or Dragon Quest VIII. But that's fine, not every Dragon Quest needs some big epic story. Again, I think the setup is fine. Now when it comes to the gameplay, this gameplay is very different from other Dragon Quest games. First off, it is not a turn-based RPG. If you didn't know, it is an action-oriented RPG. In fact, this game is more in common with the Dragon Quest Monster series than even mainline Dragon Quest. So what the gameplay really amounts to is you can go to a set number of locations. There's a couple in the game. You can play as either Eric or Mia, but there really is no difference between them. And really what you gotta do is you gotta find some treasure, you gotta find some materials, you gotta do some quests, and you get into some fights. When it comes to your party, not only do you have Eric/Mia, but you can actually have monsters join you like the Dragon Quest Monsters series. After you defeat them, sometimes they'll want to join you. Usually you gotta give them some items so they join you, but you can have a bunch of monsters with you. And each of these monsters have traversal abilities for Eric/Mia, such as the slimes allow them to jump super high, you can glide with little Drakkies, or you can, ride some of the monsters to get a good speed boost like the cheetah, where I just stuck to him like the whole game because he can move really fast. And along the way you'll fight plenty of enemies in action combat. You have like a little slingshot, you can do some little basic knife attacks, but really you'll be relying on your monsters quite a bit. You can give them some tactics, you can heal them. There's a couple different things you can do in battle. And they will help you find treasure with this little compass looking thing where it kind of tells you where the treasure is, and then you'll go dig it up once you find it. It can be a little bit of a guessing game, a little hide and seek with the treasures, but for the most part, they're not too hard to find at all, and a lot of them feel almost like randomly generated at some points, especially the silver treasures, not the good shit. You want the good stuff. Along the way, there's plenty of materials to find that you'll use for crafting, for getting party members, because a monster will be requiring something, or just quests. And yeah, there's a number of side quests here. A lot of them really are just getting items, or getting treasure, or helping somebody out, and then helping them out will be a side quest. The main quests are definitely a bit more advanced with a little bit more going on, like sometimes you'll get into rival battles with other treasure hunters for the main quest. Sometimes they'll just come invade your keep, and then there's the keep itself. You have like this big castle, you can customize it a bit, you can have your party members hang out here. And of course, show off all your treasure. This game has a ton of treasure to it. There are so many different pieces of treasure here, and there's so many callbacks to other Dragon Quest games and tons of monsters. In fact, even the Dragon Quest spin-offs get some love here. Speaking of other Dragon Quest games, this game has a lot of music from other ones. Some of it's remixed, some of it's not. I really like all the familiar Dragon Quest music. It's really cool, and I go, ooh, that's from 8, ooh, that's from 4, and then of course there's a bunch from 11. Couple original tracks here, but I thought the soundtrack was pretty good. While we're talking soundtrack and presentation, the game, I thought it looked fine. I mean, it looks way better than Pokemon. The game actually runs on Unreal. I think it's got that cute cel-shaded look. In fact, the game is very cute all around. All the monsters, Eric, Mia, etc. Everything is very cute. The frame rate was fine enough. It wasn't terrible. It did have some drops here and there, but I think it was generally fine. I don't know, coming from Pokemon, honestly, I played this like right after Pokemon when it comes to Switch games, so I was like, wow, this is a leagues better than Pokemon, and I don't have any issues with the graphics or presentation or performance or anything like that. Now, when it comes to things I don't like about the game so much, I gotta say, I think the sound effects get quite a bit annoying. When you're trying to find the treasure, there's like some really high-pitched noise, you know, to like hype it up that you're finding the treasure and all that, but after like the 100th, 200th, 300th time I heard this, I was like, dude, stop, please, get some help. Turn this off. And so I would just end up muting my Switch when I was finding a treasure because it just got kind of annoying. And speaking of kind of annoying, the gameplay, it doesn't really evolve all that much from the first like 5 or 6 hours, if that. I mean, a lot of the game you really are just looking for treasure in the same general maps. There's not a ton of maps here considering how many times you go back to them. And I thought the gameplay loop was getting a little old by the end of it, but luckily the game just kind of ends. It's nowhere near as long as I expected, or a regular Dragon Quest game. I finished the game in like 14, 15 hours, like nowhere near as long as the other ones. So I mean, that's probably a negative for some that it's not this really long RPG and they're charging full price for it, but I thought it ended at a good spot when I was just starting to get a bit tired of the gameplay. And overall, I would have no problem recommending Dragon Quest Treasures to anybody who likes Dragon Quest XI, loves Dragon Quest in general, is a fan of JRPGs, or just wants something cute and chill. I mean, this is a very chill, nice, relaxing game you can totally play on the Switch, like in bed, or if you just want to play something for like an hour, I really would recommend this. I'd honestly probably recommend this more than Pokemon. And to be clear, I'm talking Scarlet and Violet, not Legends Arceus. That game rules, and I think that this game probably won't get the love that it deserves. I didn't see a lot of people talking about it, especially when it came out about a month ago, and I doubt I'll see anybody talk about it anytime soon, but I think it's actually a pretty decent spin-off. I think it is a pretty good Dragon Quest game. I'd say it's one of the more underrated games of last year. I feel like Square Enix just released so many games last year that a bunch of them got buried, like this one, and I don't think this game should get buried. I think it's pretty good. I'm sure it'll come to like PS4 and Steam in the next year or two because I don't know, I just don't foresee this game selling all that well. And I don't think they should have charged full price for it. But anyway, that's my review for this game. I recommend it. It's a fun little time. I love Dragon Quest. I liked this game. Thank you again to Square Enix for hooking me up with the review code. I really appreciate it. I was going to buy the game anyway because I love Dragon Quest. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.